Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a system of justice forged almost 1,400 years ago, a system that had to serve a massive, fast-growing empire. We're going to break down how its core principles were built and why they still echo today.
So how do you even begin to answer a question that big? Well, we're going to look at one of history's most important legal architects, the second Caliph of Islam, Umar ibn al-Khattab. He had this colossal challenge in front of him. He wasn't just conquering lands. He had to build a just society that could actually govern them.
And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of it. Umar's judicial system didn't just appear out of nowhere. The sources tell us it was seen as the direct result, the fruit, of the faith that was at the very center of his being.
So to really get this whole system, we have to start where he did. We have to look at the seed from which everything else grew. What was the ultimate final say source of justice? For Umar, the answer was crystal clear, and it wasn't complicated. He told all of his judges, every single one of them, that every ruling had to be based first and foremost on these two divine sources, the Qur'an and the Sunnah, the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This was the bedrock, the non-negotiable foundation. And believe me, he made this point over and over again. His letters to judges all across the empire, like this famous one to Judge Sharai, spelled out this legal hierarchy with total clarity. This created something amazing, a consistent, predictable legal foundation for everybody, no matter where you lived. Okay, so if the Quran and Sunnah were the seeds, how exactly were they planted and grown? Well, you can think of Umar as the gardener, carefully taking these core principles and nurturing them into a set of practical, real-world legal doctrines for his judges. And he did this mostly through these incredibly detailed letters, like this famous one to his governor in Basra, Abu Moosa al-Ash'ari. And look, these weren't just simple little notes. Think of them more like legal charters, spelling out the core principles, court procedures, and the very ethics of what it means to be a judge. But what happens when a totally new problem pops up, something that isn't spelled out word for word in the texts? This is where Umar gave his judges a really powerful tool called ijtihad. He told them to use their own reasoning, to think critically and draw analogies to find the ruling that was closest to the truth. This was absolutely crucial for making sure the law could adapt and stay relevant. And now we get to see the results of this whole process. Let's take a look at the fruit of the system, the tangible core pillars that really defined what justice looked like and felt like in one of Umar's courts. First up, and you could argue this is the most vital pillar of them all, absolute equality before the law. In his letter, Umar is so clear about this. A person's status, their wealth, who their family is, none of it should matter to a judge. The rich and powerful should have zero hope of getting special treatment, and the poor and weak should never, ever lose hope of getting justice. Umar also cemented a legal standard that, well, it's a cornerstone of justice systems all over the world today, the burden of proof. It's right there in his letter. The burden of proof rests with the plaintiff. It's a simple idea, but it's a powerful shield that protects the innocent from false accusations. Now, here's something I find fascinating. It's Umar's intense focus on the moral character of the judge. For him, justice wasn't some mechanical process of just applying rules. He believed it could only be delivered by people with deep integrity, intelligence, and the right temperament. Strong but not cruel, kind but not weak. He even insisted they be paid well so they wouldn't be tempted by bribes. He also saw the courtroom as the last resort. He was constantly telling his judges to push for reconciliation, to get people to settle their disagreements before it got to a formal ruling. And why? Because he understood that court battles, even when you win, can create lasting bitterness and grudges that tear a community apart. Harmony was always the bigger goal. And finally, this amazing principle of intellectual humility. Umar flat out told his judges that if you realize you made a mistake in a ruling, you don't let your pride stop you from correcting it. The goal isn't to be right, it's to get it right. The truth is always more important than your ego. But here it is, the ultimate test, right? Did all these incredible principles apply to everybody? I mean, even the most powerful man in the entire state, Umar himself? Well, a famous story gives us a pretty clear answer. So get this, the story goes that Umar, the Caliph, buys a horse. He takes it for a ride, and the horse gets injured, goes lame. So Umar goes to return it, but the seller refuses, saying it was perfectly fine when I sold it to you. Now, instead of just using his incredible power to end the argument,
Umar says something remarkable. Appoint a judge between me and you.
So the man chooses the judge, Shurai, and after hearing both sides, Shurai gives his verdict directly to the leader of the empire. He says, you either keep the horse you bought or you return it in the exact same condition you got it. He actually ruled against the Caliph. And this moment, it just captures everything about the system's integrity. Was Umar angry? Did he punish the judge? No. Instead, he praised him, saying this is how true judgment should be. He didn't just accept the verdict. He was so impressed he promoted Shurai to a major judicial post.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's something pretty profound. By willingly putting himself under the authority of his own judges and accepting a ruling that went against him, Umar showed everyone, for all time, that the law, rooted in faith, was the ultimate authority in the land, not him.
And all this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Umar's entire system was built on the idea that law and morality can't be separated. It really makes you wonder, can any legal system truly be just if it isn't built on some kind of shared foundation of ethics, integrity, and that powerful idea that nobody is above the law?